Okay. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here?
Councilor Donahue.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armand Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
9 present.
9 present. Also like to welcome to the chambers councilors-elect Alan Kazanjian and Michael Lenzi. Welcome. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for 2 individuals who passed away this past week. Constance Asian, a great lady with a strong commitment to her community through public service, very active in many charitable and civic organizations. She served as president of St. Joseph's Hospital Ladies Guild, president of Duville Manor Ladies Guild, and worked extensively with special needs children. She was the president of the Greater Lowell Women's Republican Club. She was an election commissioner for the city of Lowell and a commissioner of the Lowell Housing Authority, mother of 6 children and grandmother of 5. She will be truly missed, as well as James Mansolilli, husband of Diane Morgan Mansolilli, served in the United States Army, was a substitute teacher at the Voc Tech. He too will be truly missed.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I also would like a moment of silence for Robert G. Phelps, loving husband and devoted father of 4 children, 10 grandchildren. Mr. Phelps served his country with the United States Army 11th Airborne Division during the Korean War. He also was past president and longtime coach of the Cary Park Little League. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Milanazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would be remiss if I did not mention Mrs. Asian. As you know, I worked very closely with Mrs. Asian during her 10 years as the tenant representative on the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, and she was a caring, hardworking individual, and she was just a dear, dear friend and a dear, dear lady, and I just want to say how sorry I am that she passed away. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And I'd also like to add to the list this evening, Bernice Fleming, the wife of former Mayor Brendan Fleming, who died this week as well. I think, as all of you know, Mrs. Fleming was a delightful person, devoted mother and wife to Brendan. They had 7 children. One was a classmate of mine in Sacred Heart School, and I knew them all growing up. I think all of you know their son, Tom Fleming, who is on the police department now. Mrs. Fleming was a devoted person to her church and her family for her whole life, and certainly a great loss to the community that she has passed on. So our condolences to all of those mentioned this evening. Please rise. May they rest in peace. First item on the agenda this evening is approval of the minutes of the November 20th meeting. Motion to approve by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Under City Manager's portion of the agenda, there are several communications from the manager in response to council motions and requests. Any question or comment on any of those items? Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not a communication about motions or anything, but I'd just like to applaud the administration, Andy St. Onge, and all the volunteers who made the Christmas parade possible. It was very enjoyable, and There were thousands of people there who enjoyed themselves immensely. And also, I think we all received this communication from J. Dane Lamb about downtown. Very interesting. I know that I talked to her today, and you did communicate with her, Mr. Manager, and the mayor did too. I think she has some interesting articles in this communication, and we should probably bring her up on a lot of these issues with the Economic Subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Other items under communications from the city manager? Okay, hearing none, motion to accept the communications placed on file by Counselor Milonazo, second by Counselor Mendonça. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the communications accepted and placed on file. We have a communication from the Planning Board concerning zoning, two different zoning ordinance amendments. Those matters are to be referred to a public hearing on December 11th with the recommendation of the Planning Board. So moved by Councilor Rita Mercier.
That's right.
Second by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if I could just at the same time refer the recommendation of the zoning ordinance regarding the large commercial vehicles, if I could refer that to our neighborhood traffic subcommittee and just go over one of those items. And if we could schedule a subcommittee meeting for next Tuesday at 5.
I would suggest we have the meeting on Monday because
Monday.
there is a flood meeting at 5:30, and that's, so that's, if
Well-
that's okay with you, Counselor?
It's all right with me, as long
Monday
as...
at 5?
Monday at 5. All righty, good.
So Monday at 5 then, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so the matters will be referred to a public hearing on December 11th, and the ordinance concerning trucks referred also to the Neighborhood Traffic Subcommittee for consideration as well. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the matters will be so referred to public hearing and subcommittee. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Sim Chun to continue an existing encroachment upon city-owned property at Coral Street and Leroy Street in Lowell. Motion to waive the first full reading
So
by
moved.
Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the first full reading is waived. Second reading by title. A vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Sim Chun to continue an existing encroachment upon city-owned property at Coral Street and Leroy Street in Lowell. Any discussion on this item? Roll call.
Counselor Caulfield.
Yes.
Counselor Donahue.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to accept and expend a grant in the total amount of $500,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for earmarked fund for the Jam Plan and Hamilton Canal District projects. Whereas the city's legislative delegation has obtained funds from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts earmarked for the Jam Plan and Hamilton Canal District projects, and whereas the City of Lowell desires to accept and expend said earmarked fund to implement various projects and initiatives associated with the Jam Plan and the Hamilton Canal District, including surveying and planning, real estate appraisals, real estate acquisition and disposition, relocation expenses, clearance and demolition costs, architect and urban design review services, engineering, site improvements, infrastructure and public improvements, facade and property improvement, grant programs, environmental remediation, and property management expenses related to the implementation of the Jam Plan in the Hamilton Canal District, and whereas said earmark funds must be expended during the current fiscal year ending June 30, 2008, now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell that the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development be and hereby is authorized in the name of the City of Lowell to accept and expend a grant in the amount of $500,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to implement various projects and initiatives associated with the Jam Plan and the Hamilton Canal District, including surveying and planning, real estate appraisals, Real estate acquisition and disposition, relocation expenses, clearance and demolition costs, architect and urban design review services, engineering, site improvements, infrastructure and public improvements, facade and property improvement, grant programs, environmental remediation, property management expenses related to the implementation of the JAM plan in Hamilton Canal District, and be it further voted that the funds referred to herein shall be appropriated to the account entitled JAM Urban Revitalization State Grant Plan, and be it further voted that the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell be and hereby is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary in connection with said grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the furtherance of the JAM plan in Hamilton Canal District referred to above. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager. So this $500,000, which we have received from the state with the help, obviously, of the state delegation, has to be expended by June 30th. Is that
That is
the
correct.
story? But so spending that on all that whole list won't be a problem. In other words, we certainly wouldn't want to leave money on the table. But we also have on our desk from Trinity Financial scheduling of the charrettes. So I guess what I'm getting at is what you intend to spend the money on will in no way conflict with the planning process by the master developer, right?
No, it will not. It will be, we've received this money for the past couple of years for that
Right.
project, and we've utilized it in furtherance of the project, and anything we do would be compatible with the efforts of Trinity, and would simply take care of any costs that we have related to the urban renewal project.
So it's pretty much laying the groundwork for whatever the master developer comes up with, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the city manager. I'm assuming based upon the fact that Trinity Financial has sent out the dates for the vision sessions, that they're under contract, or are we still negotiating?
We're still negotiating. We're very close. We have just a couple of points left, and then the term sheet will be able to be agreed upon, and then we'll move forward to the actual wording of the full contract.
Okay, will that be done before December 5th, or will that be
Unlikely.
unlikely?
But they're anxious to move forward. They've been out meeting with members of the community, and they're fully committed to this project, and anxious to hear what people have to say.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Armin Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a separate account for this money from the state grant? Is that placed in a separate account?
Yes, it is placed. in
Could
separate
we get a report on how that was handled from the last to now? In
Absolutely.
other words, a report on how the account was handled in terms of, what was paid and to whom and how and all of that. So we
Absolutely.
can keep an eye on it. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions or comments on this item? Roll call.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Next item is a communication from the city manager concerning appointments to the Conservation Commission. Dear Mayor Martin, members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as city manager under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 8C, I have appointed the following persons to the Conservation Commission to fill 2 vacancies resulting from resignations. Ann Chalupka, 244 Parker Street in Lowell, for a term expiring March 16, 2010, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Dave Damaris. And Kyle Davis, 153 Varnum Ave, the term expiring March 16, 2010, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Frank McCabe, who was serving in a holdover position. This is a change from the original communication forwarded by the city manager, as one of those applicants had withdrawn for consideration. Under the above referenced statute, confirmation by the City Council is not required. I have attached the resumes for your review. I would be happy to answer any inquiries you may have concerning these appointments. Very truly yours, Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager.
Accept the communication, place it on file.
So moved by Councilor Caulfield to accept the communication, place on file. Second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor, I think we need roll call on that. Roll call. No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The Communications accepted, placed on file. Subcommittee reports. Any subcommittee reports this evening? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two subcommittee reports. The first one was, meeting was held tonight for the flood subcommittee in response to emails and phone calls that I received and other members of the council received regarding the assessments in the flood zone. And information was presented to the flood subcommittee and to the city manager on various assessments and recent sales. And the assessor was in attendance and did indicate that proposed assessments this year, actually, that they have been accepted by the Department of Revenue, are based on the cutoff date of December 31st of '06. So sales that had taken place in '07 will be picked up in the next assessment period. And that is a state law. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to make sense, particularly for those folks that have been affected in the flood zone. But in general, that was the first issue. The second was that those individuals that are affected, have been affected in the flood zone, have received a 15% reduction in their land value. And that was for this fiscal year as well as last fiscal year. Across the board adjustments have been made for the first flood in '06 and then in '07, the 15% reduction. So, Mr. Manager, anything further to add on the assessments? We are going to meet again because it is confusing. Residents did request that the entire neighborhood be readjusted, but because values have already been set and certified by the Department of Revenue, that can't take place. I think I still need clarification if it could take place if we hadn't already been certified. For other issues that may happen. Nevertheless, residents still have the opportunity to file individual abatements and meet with the assessors, and they're more than willing to do that, and I'm planning on doing it. But, Mr. Manager, anything else?
Well, Council, I think you summarized it quite well. We are. The important point that people have to remember is that we do have a cutoff at which time we have to set use the applicable sales data, and that's December 31st of 2006. We did see across the city, because of the requirements that the state has placed upon us, we saw changes in many of our land values, and they did go up across the board, across the entire city. In this particular case, we did make adjustments of 15% in those land values, the adjusted land values, in order to reflect the effects of the 2006 flood. Some of the residents have come forward with some information for us regarding sales data from 2007, which unfortunately comes after that December 31st date. It will be applicable, though, for the next valuation, which occurs, essentially occurs after December 31st of 2007. We'll start going through that process, so they'll see those in their taxes next year. But certainly, I would urge all of the residents that have questions regarding their valuation in that neighborhood and believe they have a case of why the valuations are off, that they come in and meet with the assessors and get a full understanding of how their values were set, and provide us with documentation and information of how they feel their valuation should be adjusted. But we certainly will be happy to continue to provide the information, provide the explanation of how the values are set, and if need be, bring in outside people to explain it as well.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. And there was a list of other issues that were given to the subcommittee that we'll discuss and update them on at another meeting, which is scheduled for next Tuesday at 5:30 in the council chamber. So that's the report. Other members of the subcommittee were there, but that's the report of progress. And thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The people in the Clay Pit Brook neighborhood, Shirley Ave, Townsend Ave, Melrose, Lexington, and there's 3 or 4 houses on New York Street. They were affected by the flood this year, Mr. Manager, and many of their they can't sell their homes, and I think what they're looking for is that adjustment And I'm looking forward to meeting with them again next Tuesday. And if the assessor, Susan LeMay, can also meet with them, they're looking for a reduction. Their land value went up when it probably should have stayed the same. So that's the gist of the meeting. Thanks.
Okay. Anything further on that subcommittee report? Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Councilor Mendonça, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The report is accepted. Councilor
Mr.
Elliott?
Mayor, I have a finance subcommittee report, but I think it can wait until the public hearing on the bond authorization.
Okay, so, yeah, being 7 o'clock, we will move to the public hearings. The first public hearing is a loan order to borrow $1,436,000 for the purpose of financing Phase 1 of the improvements to the Lowell Memorial Auditorium and any related architectural and engineering services in connection therewith and any costs incidental and related thereto. We will open the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor.
Mayor Martin, members of the City Council, Mr. Manager, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, my name is Mark Coleman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. Wish to be recorded in favor of this. The Lowell Memorial Auditorium is a beautiful building. It goes back a long time, and it honors our veterans. I hope that the City Council unanimously approves this loan order. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else in favor of the loan order? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Councilor Rita Mercier, second by Councilor Elliott. Any discussion? Roll call. Well, all right, why don't we hear the report?
Well, the report just focused on essentially what the money is going to be used for and how it's going to be paid for. Essentially, cost estimates have come in higher than anticipated, but in order to proceed and keep the project moving, there was not a recommendation from the Finance Subcommittee. It's just a report. But the primary improvements are for the roof, the mechanical. For the facade, there's major cracking. It's mortar replacement, the roof total replacement of the roof, window sashes, mechanical or control valves, the AC unit, and that is just, that's just one phase. But in order to proceed and put the project out to bid and get exact costs from the engineer, it's prudent to move forward with this bond authorization. And if it does not exceed, if it does exceed, the manager will come back with an explanation of what those costs are. The concern from the subcommittee, from Councilman Mendonça and myself, is that we want to have a firm number on this project. But by the same token, this has been sitting since '04. Deterioration continues, and by delaying it any further, it's going to set the project back, and costs will just come in higher, and the problems will just increase. So, Mr. Manager, you brought in the report, so maybe there's some additional information you could add.
Well, again, Councilor, I think that you've summarized it well. The numbers that we were working off, the $2 million number, was based upon some information or estimates that were done a couple of years ago. More recent estimates that the auditorium trustees and the auditorium management company provided me with today indicate that the cost could reach as high as $3.4 million, although they expect it'll be closer to $3 million. One way or another, that we cannot execute any contracts for construction above the $2 million number that we are putting forward based upon this borrowing and the grant money that we've received from the state. But as I indicated at the subcommittee meeting, as you've described, it's important that we move forward with this project in terms of getting it engineered, the bid specs out, and to get the bids in so we know exactly what we're talking about in order to finalize these numbers, at which time, if it does come in over that $2 million number, and it's a very good possibility it will, that I'll come back to the council with an additional loan order to go above that. But I think we really are should get some firm numbers and determine exactly what this is going to cost. I also think we need to get some firm details on exactly how we're going to pay for this. It was my intention to come in tonight, based upon the number that you have in front of you right now, to utilize the ticket surcharge money that's on hand, as well as what we see coming in over the next several years. We would probably, in all likelihood, we would bond this for 10 or so years. So we need to have that revenue stream coming in to pay for this debt service. And if the costs go up, we need to make sure that there's revenue, again, coming in that would pay for that additional debt service, so it would not have any impact on the taxpayers. But that will become more clear once we get the final numbers, which I would anticipate would happen within the next probably 2 to 3 months.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to follow up with, the trustees did indicate that, the trustees at the auditorium, that in addition to the $600,000 grant that will come in to fund this project, they are also, there's also $569,000 in revenue already in place from the $2 per ticket surcharge that they have been accumulating for some time. So that is set aside and ready to be applied to the construction of this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Rita Mercer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to focus a little bit on our State House delegation, who came through yet again with more grant money. And it never ceases to amaze me that they're always here with money. And so we were awarded close to $600,000 from the Massachusetts Cultural Facilities Fund through the efforts of our State House delegation. So, I mean, I would like to publicly thank them. And I want to know if, to me, the building is historic. Is there any type of a historic preservation grant fund money that we could probably look into that? See, to me, it's a historic building.
Manager?
When we started working on this project, this was probably last spring, and we learned that the state government had this grant program that we did file the necessary paperwork and apply for. And in particular, Ann Barton, DPD, did a lot of the legwork on that, and I wanted to give her a pat on the back for the work that she did as well.
Yes.
We looked at, in working with then Congressman Meehan, we were looking at some federal historic preservation money. Unfortunately, that has not come through, but we're continuing to track that down and see if there is additional money.
Sure.
This is only the first phase of this project, too.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 more phases that we're anticipating, and in all likelihood, those will cost, again, somewhere in the vicinity of, all told, $5 to $6 million. So certainly there's needs out there for this building, as well as a number of other public buildings that we have here in the city. And any historic preservation money we can get, we're certainly trying to track that down.
Sure, thank you.
But I think that's a very good question.
Thank you. Councilor Milanazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city clerk. If I could, Mr. Clerk, could you have the official record of the public hearing reflect the fact that the trustees, as well as the management company, were here at the subcommittee and expressed their support for the loan order as well? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion on the loan order? So there was a motion made and seconded to approve, so why don't we have that roll call?
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armand Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the loan order is approved, and we'll entertain a motion to approve the subcommittee report, approve the subcommittee report as a report of progress. So moved by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Rita Mercia. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The subcommittee report is approved. The next public hearing is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 18, Article 4, entitled Rates and Charges. This concerns water rates. Open the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Speakers in opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council?
No one wants to say.
No one's, all
Move approval.
right, motion approved by, well, does it need a motion? Motion approved by Councilor Broderick. We got a second somewhere?
Second.
Councilor Armin Mercia. Roll call.
Counselor Caulfield.
Yes.
Counselor Donahue.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Broderick.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the ordinance is approved. Any further subcommittee reports? Okay, under petitions, there is one miscellaneous petition from St. Joseph Apartments and Coalition for a Better Acre requesting an easement. Motion to refer to the manager in the law department for report and recommendation by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Rita Mercia. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to the manager in law department for report and recommendation. There is one claim for property damage. Motion to refer to the law department by Councilor Eileen Donahue, second by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to the law department. Under the motions this evening, motion by Councilor Mendonça, the City Council requests the city manager report on the plans, if any, for maintenance or renovation of the exterior of the Moody School. Second by Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Mendonça.
Yes, some time ago, someone had complained to me about the appearance of the school's exterior, and actually I've been waiting, I would expect it in the capital report, a capital plan, but since that's still a work in progress, I just thought I'd move it up and get an idea of what, if anything, is planned to improve the school. Our Department of Public Works certainly has done a wonderful job with the Laurel East School and the Pine Street School, so if we could work some miracle like that, I think it'd be a great improvement for the neighbors. And so I just ask, what are the plans? At the same time, I would express my support for doing something about the exterior, if we could.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Councilor, we'll get a written report to the council on this motion, and but I can assure you that certainly, like all of our public buildings, it is one that we see a need to upgrade, and we have been plugging away at that capital. Unfortunately, the request for capital spending is so extensive by the departments, and the work of trying to winnow that into some type of reasonable shape has taken us a little bit longer than we had hoped. But we're hoping to get that capital plan to the council within a short period of time as well, and I apologize for the delay in getting that to you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. I do have Councilor Broderick.
Just going to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. There's one announcement I wanted to make. This Thursday, November 29th at 7 p.m., there is a public hearing at the University of Massachusetts Alumni Hall about the construction of the new bridge. Again, Thursday, November 29th, 7 p.m., Alumni Hall on University Avenue. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad you brought that forward. Many of us will be attending the alumni inductees into Lowell High School, and I would love to be at that bridge hearing, but I also have to be at Lowell High School. So, Mr. Manager, I know you're going to have people representing the city and on the bridge issue. So,
the city will be well represented at that meeting.
I attended the last meeting, and Adam Becky and the staff were there, and they did a great job. But I just don't want to see anyone throw a curveball at us. So, thank you.
Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I just wanted to say that this is an afterthought about education and all the people who go out of their way to raise money and offer scholarships in the name of, in memory of their loved ones. Well, last Friday I had an occasion to attend a scholarship presentation at Cappy's Copper Kettle, whereby the Kapala and Brooks and Dowling family, along with many others, gave 26 scholarships out to students, all set to go to many colleges. They have been doing this for the past 25 years, and they've raised a total of $295,000. And I was so impressed with this gesture, and I thought it was worth mentioning so that I could publicly say thank you to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Elliott, did you have something?
It's okay. It was just on the Schedule A, which I'm going to file a motion because I think it's a good report that's worthy of going to the Finance Subcommittee to address some of the deficits and some of the revenue. So I'll file another motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye. Meeting stands adjourned.